Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and today we're going to talk about how we leave things, how we enter into something, and what it's like when we leave, and our responsibility when we are acting from our highest aspects, not from your human ego aspect, how you enter into something and how you leave it. Because one thing that you're going to eventually, and there's a lot of trials and tribulations and a lot of tests along the way. So I don't want anyone to think when we talk about this stuff that it's this, we do it and it's instant, we immediately know how to do it. Even though it's our natural state to operate from our highest aspect, we have so much human ego programming in the way we have to break through before we can do it and hold it and embody it. Because we talk a lot about holding the consciousness and then embodying the consciousness. So it takes a while for us to be able to do that. So we get a lot of tests along the way about what decision are you going to make? Are you going to go back into a 3D human consciousness? Or are you going to not do that? Are you going to act from your higher aspect in every moment, whether you're dealing with someone and you have emotional attachment to them, whether you're dealing with money, a health issue. I'm going to put health in air quotes there. Can you come from your highest aspect every time? No matter how disrespectful someone's being to you, can you still hold your highest aspect? So you're going to always be tasked with this stuff until you show your universe, show yourselves, you can do it. It doesn't matter who's around. It doesn't matter what's involved. It doesn't matter what situation you are personally in. You could be in the roughest, it was something I heard, it was something I was watching. Can't remember, I think it was Midnight Club. And it was something to say with when someone was really having a hard time, they still showed up as their best self all the time. And that wasn't easy to do. And it kind of got me sort of thinking about sort of that theme a little bit. Like, can you show up as your highest aspect, even if everything is not picture perfect in your world? Can you not let the outside world impact the aspect of you that shows up? Can you not let the other person impact the aspect of you that shows up? When we go into something, how do we leave it? When we go into something as our highest aspects, we should always leave it better than it was before we got there. And that means relationships, that means places we touch. We're just going to give a very broad example, but if you see litter on the street, are you going to stop and pick it up? Or are you going to leave it there? Technically, you're not leaving it as good as you got it. You're not improving it while you're there. And everything we go into, eventually we get to that space where our responsibility is to leave it better than when we came. If you're staying in someone's house, if you're, staying in a hotel, in a sense, is there something you can do to make someone else's life a little bit easier, the cleaning people's life a little bit easier? What can we do to make it better than before we got there? And that's always how we leave it. We don't operate from our human aspect, which is let's get everything we can get out of it before we leave. That is the human aspect, ego aspect, me mentality. And that is where we operated from before we start our ascension journey. That's what makes our choices for us. Even if we thought we weren't, usually we can, if we dig deep enough into it, we could see where we had an agenda, where we were doing it just for ourselves. Is it better than when we got there? So start asking yourself that question when you're in any situation, in any space. If you're, sharing a home with people or you're visiting people, can you leave it better than, is it in a better space than when you got there? Once you touch the space. Now, when we're talking about people, this can be a little bit not as straightforward in a sense, because let me say one more thing before I go there. It's our responsibility as highest aspects of ourselves to leave it better than it was when we got there. That's what we do. That's what we do for humanity. That's what we do for each other. That's our responsibility. So when we're not doing that, we have to look at why we're not doing that. Do we not want to go the extra mile to do that? Do we not want to do it because we think that's weird to do that? Or a lot of things I've done, people think it's weird. I used to see shopping carts anywhere, any grocery store I go to. If I saw shopping carts in the parking lot, 9 times out of 10, I would put them all back. People thought I worked at certain stores because I was always putting up carts, and they'd ask me information on the store because I would just do that, because it helps someone else out along the way. And I had the time to do it, and I could do it, My legs worked. I could go and do this and put these carts back. Occasionally I wouldn't. If I was tired or if something was going on, I was like, just give me a pass today. I'll do more tomorrow, But normally that's one thing that I would do. But there's little things we can do everywhere we go, to make it better than when we first got there. Now, when we're dealing with people, this one is not quite as straightforward. It can be, but we have to be very connected inside to make sure we are leaving these people in a better space than when we got there. Now, to them, it might not seem like a better space. And that's why I want to clarify the people part a little bit. Because when we're in someone's field and we're activating someone's field, we are, in a sense, responsible for the activations we do. If you trigger a person and you trigger them intentionally and they'll come to a consciousness, you're going to get to a consciousness where you're going to know how to trigger someone. And if you're going to do that, then we have to be responsible for the fallout and to stay there to support that person in the fallout. Because when people are around, someone in a human consciousness is around someone in a higher consciousness for a long period of time, we have a responsibility to activate that consciousness. So you can be activating it passively, where you're just kind of in their space and they're getting activated. But a lot of times once that happens, if someone's life is completely out of alignment with their highest aspect of themselves, a lot of times their world can start to collapse. And that makes people angry. It made me angry when it started happening to me. It's not personal, it just makes people angry. I know there was a lot of people that when they would see me coming, I felt like they would almost like jump out windows. Some people were very happy to see me. Some people didn't want to talk to me. Some people didn't want to see me. They would literally like just try to get away. Because when you're in certain spaces of your consciousness, human ego, the human aspect, is not going to want to be around people of a higher consciousness. When you start to feel that pull, when those people start coming in for you, when you are those people for other people, when you're acting as their higher aspects, you are taking on that responsibility, but in a sense you have a contract to do that and be that for them. And you're going to know that. You're going to know that I have this responsibility to be there and do that for that person. I know I'm supposed to be here for them. It might not be the highest of the highest aligned in this moment. It might be karmic in a sense, because there's other things going on the other side, or I'm clearing a little programming too, or programming also. But I'm supposed to be here. And we'll know when those times are over. And we don't have to be there anymore. But in the beginning, we have to be there. Look at who supported you. Who do you support? Do you take people for granted? We gotta have to look at the whole package when you're dealing with people, because some people might not be happy when you leave them, in a sense. Even though they're in a better space than when you got there, energetically and where they are in their journey, they might not see it that way. So we have to really take great care when we're dealing with people, because just being around people that are in a different consciousness than you're in can activate them. And in a sense, it'll trigger you. It'll trigger us, if we have more something on a cellular level that matches that frequency, which technically we probably would if we're there, even if it's on a DNA level and we don't know it. So it could be a lot of triggering going on. But when you're at a certain space in your consciousness, when you're operating from your higher aspect, you don't let those triggers get you where you're lashing out at people. I know when I get triggered, I get upset. I don't come back at people. I used to. I don't anymore. Now I just go take care of it on my own. Go look, okay, what's going on with me? Why did that make me mad? Why did that trigger all this stuff for me? Let me get all that stuff out. Let me release that stuff. Look at that and be honest with yourself about what happened in the altercation, in a sense. And then once you've cleared it and once you're ready to go back in, we re-enter the reality with the person. But we can't re-enter the reality if we're not done clearing. A lot of times our human aspect's going to want to kind of get in there and be like, no, come on, we can go back in and finish this, but we can't. Or we'll want to get in a hurry and try to finish out a reality. I've done that lots of times, so I can speak on that one 100%. We want to finish out a reality, so we want to get in there and do it, but we're not 100% done with our clearing of whatever happened the last time we were in that reality. And sometimes that can take months. Sometimes it can take weeks. It depends on where we are with it, how much of it we've cleared, how much we have left to clear. It's not a quick process. Raising your consciousness, raising your body vibration is not fast. It takes time. Anyone promises you fast, they just haven't achieved that part of their journey yet to realize the shit's not fast. Look at how many things and how many lifetimes we have to clear. how many lifetimes that are going on concurrently, multidimensionality. It's all into what you're trying to clear from your body, clear from your templates, clear from your, you know, your different akashas, clear your different karmas. You know, there's so much we have to do. So someone might not be happy how you leave a reality, but we always try to close it out in its highest place, knowing we've left them better than when we got there. Sometimes they'll know that. Sometimes they won't be able to see that till years later. Sometimes they might never see it. And we have to be okay with that. And sometimes that can be tough when we see what we do, but because it's not valued by someone in a human consciousness, it won't be valued till maybe much later. Hindsight's 2020. So a lot of times we'll do things and it won't be valued to a long time later. And like I said, maybe never. And we have to be okay with that because we're not doing it to get the pat on the back. If you're doing this journey to get the pat on the back from other people, you're going to be waiting a long time, because the human ego that you're trying to assist in that moment, I mean, technically you're more assisting their higher aspects, or you're trying to activate their soul aspects to start coming through, or their galactic aspects. But if their human aspects in charge, it ain't going to pat you on the back. It's going to show you the door, because in a sense, you're a threat to that. You know, you're a threat to the human ego staying in control. And that's what the human ego wants to do. It wants to stay in control. And higher consciousness is a threat to that in a sense. So that's why people lash out at that. The ego has to go through an ego death. It doesn't want to do that. You know, it doesn't want to kind of give up control, even though it's technically really not in control. So some people might know how well you leave them. Other times you'll just know. Like, I know I left this in a better place than when I got there. It doesn't mean you're going to have to stay forever. It doesn't mean you're going to stay forever. Because eventually you can hamper someone else's journey. And they have to do stuff on their own. And you can't be around forever. Because sometimes if you're around forever, they're going to depend on you to do it. And you don't want to fall into that either. So we can act as someone higher aspect of other people for a while. But there comes a time when if we continue to do it and they are dependent on us, then that whole energetic equation's shifted. And we have to look at that and see, like, this was appropriate and now it's not anymore. So you cannot judge if you felt aligned in what you did, soul aligned in what you did. You can't judge that on how someone else reacts to that. Because like I said, you leaving a reality might not be what the other person wants, even though we might know at the time that's the best thing we can do for that person. Because we'll have the sight to see that. You're going to have the sight to see what's best in that moment to do. And because we're in vibrational realities, just because it's right in that moment, it might not be all right 20 minutes later. 20 minutes later, you might need to be doing something else. That's why it can be, you know, you have to look at it every day and go, what can I do? You know, is this aligned for them? It might not be aligned for me to do that same thing. But if someone's asking me to assist them with something, it might not be something I don't play in human realities in that sense. But if I can assist someone in doing something that has assisted me and it's something that's important to them, I will do that. Even if I know it's not the highest of the highest aligned for them to do that, it's also letting other people do their journey, you know, and knowing that all this stuff will eventually kind of settle itself out. But we can kind of start to put that, I don't know, anytime I say but, anytime it's like you say but, you have to really look at the but in it, the but in everything, and to see how, if it really feels aligned. You know, is there something I can do to help someone? If someone's asking for my help and I can do it, then I have to look at, okay, is it aligned for me to do this? Is it aligned long term? Maybe not. Is it aligned for the next couple of months? Yeah, it could be. Sometimes you have to look at what's aligned for you might not be aligned for someone else of where they are. So we really have to take great care of how you leave stuff. So look how you leave a place. Look how you leave people. Look how you leave a job. Look, anything. Did we leave it in a better place than when we touched it? Because we should always be able to say yes to that. And if we can't say yes to that, we need to look at why we're not. Do we not want to go the extra mile? Do we not want the judgment of doing that? Do we not really care enough? So, okay. Keep practicing the art of intuition.